are with President Putin, and we want to say to President...
It is really going down right now, y'all. And particularly, it is going down in a major way, and the American media is not reporting on it. By it, I mean the new geopolitical relationships that are happening with Africa right now, particularly the BRICS nations, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Right there, what you see is Julius Malema of the Economic Freedom Fighters, a political party in South Africa, talking about his solidarity with Putin. The reason why this is important is because in Africa, a lot of the natural resources like uranium, cobalt, lithium, iron, a lot of natural resources that we need all over the world are located in Africa. Things that power the tech industry here in the United States that we depend on, quote unquote, third world countries to provide us with the raw materials for. The United States is currently at odds with Russia. And if Russia is able to have good relationships with the people with the countries that we need their natural resources from, then that means that there's a stronghold on many of the industries in the United States. So if Intel can't get their silicon, or can't get their coltan, or can't get their lithium, or our defense contractors can't get their uranium or plutonium, then that puts us at a significant disadvantage, both from a national security standpoint and economic standpoint. But the mainstream media isn't reporting on this because they don't want to send the world into a panic. Because if you knew what was headed down the pipe, then you would be very scared right now. You would know that prices for your electronics are getting ready to go up, prices for food is getting ready to go up, prices for all consumer products are getting ready to go up. Russia is making some real power moves by building relationships. And the thing is we really shouldn't be worried too much about Russia. It's China. However, Russia can provide a lot of the infrastructure and provide a lot of the grain and basic human needs for the people of Africa. This is why they want us distracted with BS and nonsense so that we don't understand what's happening on a geopolitical level. I'm Dr. Jamar Montgomery, and follow me for more geopolitical education and crypto news.
So I'm at the gym, everybody, and this just came across the news.
They're following the big banks. They're following the institutional money. What are the big banks doing right now? They have all filed with the SEC to get ETFs. BlackRock, JP Morgan, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Citadel, they have all filed with our government to allow their customers to get cryptocurrencies through them. Assuming that this gets approved by our government, when the SEC says, yep, you can open these ETFs, bring the cryptocurrency to your customers, trillions of dollars will flood into the blockchain, and it will signal to the world that these assets are safe to invest in. And once that happens, the bull market will take off. And by that time, the largest transfer of wealth will have just taken place. It's not to say that you won't be able to make any money by getting onto the blockchains afterwards, but by getting in before these institutional dollars do, you will be so happy if you make that move. This is not financial advice. This is to say, start educating yourself about the blockchain. When you understand the absolute magnitude of this technology, you will understand why it is not going to be disappearing ever. And the what you need to understand is how to function on the decentralized networks. And I see why people are so confused when I say this word decentralized, because on the news you hear the word decentralized used as it refers to, let's take, for example, the coin, Bitcoin, for example, that the technology in its essence was developed to be decentralized, where there is no broker, third party, or intermediary needed. But most people are not functioning, interacting with the ecosystem in that way because they are functioning on a third party platform like Coinbase, Kraken, or Binance.us. If you are on the centralized exchanges, recognize you are not an accredited investor. Those coins are not in your hands. And if you are on the decentralized exchanges, you are the bank. The money is in your custody.
Who are the 10 kings or the 10 horns mentioned in Daniel chapter 7? Because prophecy is being fulfilled even now in these last days. We are seeing the 10 kings begin to finally align themselves right before the beast come into power. Daniel chapter 7 verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and tread it down, and break it in pieces. America is the only kingdom that fulfilled this prophecy. Verse 24. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. So the 10 kings align themselves before the beast comes back into power. Who are the 10 kings? First we have Brazil, Russia, India, China, Africa. Africa is going to be one nation. Unfortunately, many are being deceived right now, and they're excited about Africa joining into the blockchain. Okay, this is what's going on. Listen to Umar.
It's time for the United States of Africa. I said the ancestors have spoken. The ancestors have spoken. And the ancestors have said that the African Union is over. It's time for a United States of Africa.
All right, number 6, we have Turkey. We have Arabia, which is going to include Israel, Iran, the European Union, and last but not least, Australia. Back to verse 24. And he shall subdue 3 kings. Which of these 3 kings are he going to subdue? More than likely it's going to be Brazil, South America. It's also going to be Africa and Arabia. Okay? And we know the 7 kings of the East are going to come up against Christ. Right? These 7 kings are going to be Russia, India, China, Iran, Turkey, the EU, and Australia. Verse 25. Now listen to this, because they twisted this verse. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out or afflict the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given. That is Strong's H3052. That should be delivered. Okay. And they shall be delivered out of his hand until a time and times, and a dividing of time. You see, how do we know this? Revelation 12 verse 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. See, they twisted that scripture. So they're going to be delivered out of his hands into the second Exodus. Verse 26. But the judgment shall be set, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it until the end. Okay. So we know at this point Christ is going to return, and he's going to cast the beast and the false prophet into the lake of fire. So America was not mentioned with the 10 kings because it is the beast's kingdom, and it's going to reign over the 10 kings. America is going to encompass a 4th part of the earth: Canada, America, and also Mexico.
Listen, y'all, while this Alabama brawl stuff is really funny and all that, we need to be paying attention to this. The U.S. dispatches warships after China and Russia send naval patrol near Alaska. Our U.S. government had to dispatch 4 naval warships because they saw multiple Chinese and Russian military vessels that were patrolling near Alaska last week. And this is the second time we've had Russia and Chinese warships near our borders. The other one was in Florida a couple of months ago. Listen when I tell you, and I've told you guys this before, this war between Ukraine and Russia and our government getting involved in it is definitely gonna reap some kind of reward, and it ain't the kind of reward we want. Now, I know none of us are with the bullshit. We don't want nothing to do with what our government is doing against Russia during this war. But regardless of that, we are still the citizens of the United States, and we are still the ones that are going to be at risk for an attack. By all means, I'm not trying to fearmonger or try to scare anybody, but I definitely want us paying attention. Obviously, we know we've been hung up on the Alabama slammer, but we really need to be focused on some of this stuff as well. Please don't lose sight of what's going on in the real world, because, baby, shit is definitely getting real.
Yeah, this is for educational purposes only. Educational purposes only. All right, you guys see this. The BRICS currency is going to be coming out in November. And it's going to be 55 American dollars to every one BRICS dollar. Now, to some, it may sound like numbers, but let me share with you what the real numbers look like, because the dollar is about to crash in comparison to this BRICS. For example, if you make $45,000 a year, that's an annual salary, that will now be worth only 818 BRICS currency dollars. $45,000 is now just $818 in BRICS dollars. Okay? What if you make $100,000 a year? That's now only 1,818 BRICS dollars. $100,000 is 1,818 BRICS dollars. If you make $300,000 a year, that is now 5,454 BRICS dollars. 300,000 is now 5,454 BRICS dollars. If you make $500,000 a year, $500,000 a year American dollars, that is now only worth 9,090 BRICS dollars.
If Africa weren't rich, then why are all of the countries all over this globe pillaging that continent for all of its raw resources and human capital? When Africa stops trading with the rest of the world and halts the export of their raw materials, let's see what happens. Africa is literally the future. Guess you've never been to that continent, have you? You've never been there. You've never seen the resourcefulness of Africans. Now, I've only been to 2 countries, so I'm no expert on the whole of the continent. But comments like this obviously reflect your racism and your lack of depth. And you're literally only listening to what the mainstream is straight up feeding you. Have fun with that little narrative. Now let's talk a little bit about these raw resources that are being pillaged out of Africa. See, we're still under colonial rule. It's just called neo-colonialism. That's what we are in a neo-colonialism phase. So when the European nations like Switzerland or probably Italy and any of the other European, Belgium, any of the other countries that, let's say, make chocolate, and they're purchasing the raw cocoa beans, because the only place you can purchase those is pretty much Africa. There aren't many other countries growing cocoa, the actual pods that you're going to go on to make chocolate with. They hand over a little bit of money for the raw materials, the chocolate, and then turn around and make billions, trillions off of the chocolate that wouldn't even be possible to bring to market without the Africans who are harvesting it. Probably and mostly child labor, particularly when it pertains to chocolate. So making comments, even comments about GDP, yeah, it's not surprising that the Africans' GDP might be lower because the Europeans have set the prices and literally have them under their thumbs. Do you know what the IMF and the World Bank are? Like, wake up. Stop listening to your... This is how wide your mind is. This wide. And you just keep clinging to that narrative because you don't want to see outside of your little itty bitty box. Have fun with that. Sounds awful.
3 days or 4 days. I've been here. Like, as you see, people now are sitting here. We spend the night here and the day as well. We wish they can move us to another place, like a safe place. We cannot spend the whole week here, you know. It's not safe, it's dangerous.
Es lo único que le estamos pidiendo al gobierno, que nos dé la facilidad de trabajo. 2 días tengo acá en la espera del albergue. No son condiciones normales porque nosotros también necesitamos bañarnos y otras cosas. Por lo menos nos dan un poquito de alimento, nos dan fruta, nos dan pan, todo eso. Pero ya en la noche ya quedamos como a la intemperie. No nos dijeron que esto iba a ser acá así.